Hello, lads and lasses. Hey, if you like today's lesson, then spread the rumor that artists make better lovers, as this would really help spread the good word about my class. All right, today we're going to be taking notes about how to paint. The first step is to get your supplies. So I want you to get a container of water, and what I have in the classroom are four kinds of containers. It's the wider, lower ones that are more stable. If you use the tall cup, just don't fill it up as much with water. The tall cups can spill easier than short, wide bowls. Get a palette, get a brush, and get a paper. And also, when you get your paper, know which is the good paper and which is the bad paper. They look identical, but the good paper, the paper that we paint with, is heavier and thicker. The paper that I don't want you to use is like copy paper. You can't really paint on copy paper. It's just not thick enough to handle the paint. All right, fill the container only half full of water. So just fill it right there. And why? Why should you only fill it up half full of water? Is because it's less likely to tip over or spill. And a lower center of gravity means less spillage. So if you have the container filled lower, it has a lower center of gravity. Uh, One of the reasons why monster trucks are so much fun to watch is because they have a high center of gravity, because all their weight is up high, and that causes them to flip over. Now, formula racers have a low center of gravity. So, because they're so low to the ground, they can turn corners very fast. All right, next is get your paint. And when you get your paint, you only need a little bit. And when you pour your paint, pour it no bigger than a dime. A little dab will do you, like they say on the Brylcreem ads. And Brylcreem is the stuff that guys used to put in their hair back in the 40s and 50s to make it look greasy. You only had to use a little bit. All right, why? Why only use a little bit of paint? Well, paint lasts a lot longer than you think it's going to, and you can always go back for more paint. Get only the colors that you need right now. You most likely won't have time to paint for all of your planned colors, so just get what you need right now. You can always go back and get the colors that you need. And when you pour your paint onto the palette, space your colors out evenly. And why should you space them out? Because that gives you space to mix colors. All right, how to mix colors. Never, never, never pour one color on top of another like this guy did. If you pour one color on top of another, my face will do that. It makes me angry. Why? Why shouldn't you pour one color on top of another? It's because colors don't behave logically. It seems logical that an equal amount of black and an equal amount of white make gray. Well, that's wrong. Why? It's because darker colors are stronger than lighter colors and swallow them up. Equal amounts of black and white don't make gray, it makes black. Then how do I mix my colors? You follow these instructions. First, you put the lighter of the two colors in the center of the palette. Then you add a teeny tiny bit of the darker color. So in this case, between white and red is the darker color, you add a little bit of red to it. You mix it and ask yourself, is this the color that I want? And if the answer is yes, then you're ready to paint with that color. If the answer is no, then you can add a little bit of either side. So if that pink that I made is too light, I can add a little bit more red to it. Or if that pink that I made is too dark, then I can add a little white to it. All right, here's some painting tips. Keep your water clean with frequent changes. Clean the brush between the colors. So basically, what's happening here is that sometimes students don't clean their water and they don't clean their brushes. And what's happening is you have like a dark color on a brush, and you put that brush into a light color of paint. Well, it's going to dull down the intensity of that paint. It's going to look muddy, and you don't want that to happen. So keep your brush clean between paints and change out your water. All right, to get into tight spaces, hold your brush like a pencil. and twist your brush while dragging it across the palette to get a fine point. And then get the excess water off your brush before putting it in the paint. And this happens a lot in my classes. Students' artwork doesn't look right because their water or their paint was too watery, and they didn't get the extra water off the brush before putting it in the paint. It caused the paint to be runny. All right, so here's how you paint a picture, and you start by blocking in. So what I'm going to show you now is a painting that I did a few years ago, and I took pictures of it at every stage as I painted it. So I sketched out the picture, and I started painting with like a random, or not random, but like a basic flesh color or Caucasian skin, like a peach, you know. And then I blocked in the hair and the eyes, and I blocked in the mouth, and I blocked in the shirt, and I blocked in the background. This stage right here is that when the painting is all blocked in. And then I painted the background. I painted the detail of the background to make it look like it had some shadows and excuse me, some interesting color back there. And then I started painting the detail of the eye. And also notice that around the nose and the upper lip and the chin and just above this other eye, I added in the highlights. And basically, I'm telling myself this is where the highlights are going to be later. I finished the forehead and I put in some shadows. I put the shadow on the nose. And then I did some detail in the mouth, and I put a shadow around the left side of the face. And then I finished the details of the eye. And then I finished the details of the cheek. And then I repainted the ear because I didn't like how the ear was shaped. And then I did the details of the ear and the mouth. And I did the rest of the face, the chin and the cheek. And then I repainted the neck. And then I painted the hair. And then I painted the neck and the shoulders. And there I painted the secondary light source coming in. And that's how you paint a picture. All right, warning, warning, warning. Paint is alive and it knows what you are wearing. If you are wearing anything expensive, new, your favorite thing, and anything that you borrowed that they're going to kill you if anything happened to it, that's what paint wants to get itself onto. So be super careful about getting paint on your clothes. All right, what do you do if paint gets on your clothes? Well, the good news is that tempera washes out. Well, mostly. If you have white pants and red paint gets on it, those white pants are now stained. Wash your clothes as soon as you get home, but wear an apron or a large t-shirt when you're doing your painting. All right, cleaning up. When you clean up, dump out your dirty water. Wash off your palettes and brushes. Put away all palettes, water containers, and brushes. And when you put your brushes away, put them in hairy end up. See, the brush on the left is nice and neat, and the brush on the right is bent. The brush on the right is ruined because people put it hairy end down. All right, so when you put your brush away, put it hairy end up. If you put it hairy end down, my face will do that. I'll be very angry. All right, do not leave things in the sink. Put all like items together and follow the directions of the emo. So in class, I have somebody that I choose to be my executive maintenance officer, and they are my special helper for the day to help clean up after we are painting. All right, everybody, we are going to start painting now. So let me get this up here. All right, so I've got my palette I've got a brush, I've got my water, and what I am going to do is I'm going to put paint in my palette. All right, no bigger than a dime. And I will need some white, spacing it out. And I will need some black. All right, and I'm going to move the camera over. And we're going to make a little value scale. Now, one thing I do want you to remember, it is easier to go from light to dark. All right, so we're going to go from light to dark, and I'm going to put my brush in the water and get off the extra water, and then I'm going to flick it on the ground, and I will also have a paper towel. And I can drag it. All right, also, I'm dragging and twisting as I go across here, and that gets me a fine tip on this brush. All right, so now my brush is damp but not wet. And I'm going to go ahead and get some paint here. And so I'm going to go from very light red to light red to dark red to very dark red. And I'm going to start with my pure red just to get into the hang of things. So I'm just going to put my brush into the red and paint this little section right here. Also, notice that I'm holding my brush like I would a pencil or a pen. So many people will hold it from the back of the brush, and don't do that. Not on this assignment. So we're going to paint nice and tidy and tight. And that means we need to have a lot of control over the brush. So we're going to hold it like a pen or a pencil. All right, let me just finish this up. All right, now I have a red square. All right, I'm going to wash off my brush. And I want to make a very light red. It's easy to go from light to dark. So I'm going to start with the lightest red over here. I'm going to get off the extra water and drag it across my paper towel. And so now it's a damp brush, not a wet brush. And I'm going to put a lot of white over here. Big gobs of white. There we go. We can see it better now. Big gobs of white. I'm going to wash off my brush. Tap it. Pull it across here. I have a damp brush, not a wet brush. Just get just a little bit of red, and I'm going to add it to all this white. And see what a huge difference that made. All right, I want to get a lighter red. There we go. All right. I am dragging and twisting my brush to get a fine point on my brush. I'm going to pick up some of this paint, and then I'm going to paint my very light red. This is a tint of red. Red and white create a tint of red, also called pink. All right, that should take care of that. All right, now over here, I want to make a pink that's in between this one and red. I'm going to wash off my brush, get the extra water off. I noticed that a drop of water landed over here. Normally I wouldn't put my bowl so close to my painting, but I'm doing this for demo purposes so you can see what I'm doing on the screen. All right, so I want to make a darker pink. So I'm going to add a little bit of red to that. All right, I added, so I have a little bit more red on here than last time. And I'm just going to mix some of that pink in there with it. Mix and mix and mix. And that is lighter than the red and darker than the pink that I already have. So this is a good color to go with. And I'm just going to color inside the lines with this tint of red. All right. Wash off my brush. Get the extra water off. All right, now here I want to make a dark red, a shade of red, and it's going to be red and black. I am not going to add black to that. When my students add black to that, it turns into a grayish red. That's not what I want over here. I don't want grayish red. I want a dark red. So I'm just going to mix red and black together. And I'm going to take a bunch of this red. Lots of red, lots of red, lots of red. And put it there. Wash off my brush. Get the extra water off. It's damp but not wet. And I'm just going to take a little bit of this black and add it with all that red that I had. And I'm really just kind of mixing over here on the side. There we go. That gives me a dark red. So I'm going to paint with that darker red. And just for fun, I'm going to add another layer to it. All right, I'm going to wash that off. And now I need to make an even darker red. So I'm going to add even more black to that. And I'm going to pull in some of that red and black together. And that gives me a very dark red. It's almost like a maroon color now. It's almost like the color when you skin your knee and it scabs over. It's the color of a scab. All right, and there you go. That's how you apply paint. That's how you mix paint. That's how you apply paint. And that's how you do it. All right, that's it for today. And until next time, be a little art factory.